Hi, this is Ann Courtney from Mother Feather, and you're listening to Rock at Night.
Yeah. Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. I'm not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel good. Now, get on down.
Hi, this is Anita Stewart with Rock at Night, and we are also, just wanted to let everyone know, we are now in print, and our next issue will be out on June 21st, and we are featuring glam rock genre and music, and we are talking with glam rock artists for specific interviews. And we have with us today Ann Courtney. She is the lead person for the band Mother Feather, which is a glam rock band out of New York City. And you all have been around since 2009, 2010.
Yeah,
and
that's correct.
I was looking at some really crazy interviews, not just interviews, but songs and reviews from different places. And one of the funniest ones was this one from the Metro New York. Lead singer Ann Courtney is a showman in the first degree. Her sweaty, swaggering delivery evokes some sort of awesome demon woman ascending from the gates of hell to deliver unto us a sinfully amazing performance. And then there was another one from the Huffington Post that said, the strength this band exudes, and Ann Courtney especially, is like a young Marlon Brando's strength on screen. The sensitivity of the guy is unnerving. You immediately want to fuck him. And at the same time, you never know if he might just rip your damn head off. So that was quite funny too. What did you think about those when they came out?
You know, that the Huffington Post piece was written by an incredible writer who actually has a memoir out now. His name is Michael Patrick F. Smith. And he just released, like just a couple months ago, an incredible memoir called The Good Hand. And he's one of my favorite writers of all time. And he put out a hell of a book. And I guess you also just answered one of my questions just now, that we can swear on the podcast.
Well, I wasn't sure about that, but the word came out. So I hope she doesn't have to bleep it out.
Print. It was in print, you know, if the Huffington Post would publish it, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
that was one of our first really big pieces of press. And it did some really great things for us, that little article. And the Metro New York piece I love as well, because that writer was clearly at one of our exorcisms that we performed. Great.
Exorcisms, that's great. So going to like the new agey spiritual exorcism type stuff, where did the song Egyptology come from? Because that had some interesting lyrics in it.
Yeah. Thank you. That's that one started while I was washing dishes, actually. Sounds sort of mundane, but yeah, I mean, it's a rebirth story. And so much of that was the initial inspiration for Mother Feather. And yeah, a story of rebirth. And that's the telling of it, Egyptology.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. I liked how the lyrical video looked. It had some really cool graphics.
Thank you. So that lyric video was made by Isaiah King, who is an incredible, video director, graphic artist, animator. And he actually also directed and animated the Mother Feather video, Mother Feather, the song. And he's been a longtime collaborator of ours. He's wonderful. So he made that video for us when we actually got few songs from our first album placed on the show Shameless. Are you familiar with the that show Shameless?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm complete oh my goodness, I'm totally blanking on the lead actor's name. William H. Macy. Goodness. Whew.
Oh yeah, he's a great actor. Yes.
Yeah, so it's a long series, and we actually had 3 songs placed in the show: Trampoline, Natural Disaster, and Egyptology. So when
Wow.
those songs got a little bit of extra attention, and we wanted to put out some lyric videos to accompany 2 of those songs. We did videos for Trampoline and Egyptology. So that's the story about that lyric video.
I'll go and look for that series. So you have been taking kind of a medical sabbatical and recovering. And how are you? What have you been able to accomplish while you've been doing this so far?
Well, I mean, more, it's sort of a lot of things all at once. I guess the whole world is seeing a change in their lives in the past year.
Right.
Certainly that's the case for artists as well. And so along with, being scared and stressed out along with the rest of the world, I also happened to break my foot. I broke a couple bones in my foot last fall.
Wow.
Yeah, like in the least rock and roll way ever. Everyone was like, "Oh, I thought it would be the rock and roll that would get you," but it didn't happen while I was jumping off stage in heels or anything cool like that. It was really, truly just getting off the couch and then instantly falling down. So
Wow.
that has been, I don't know, maybe a symptom of being off balance in general. But so yeah, I've spent the past few months healing, and of course, I've been very grateful let's see, where was I? I was talking about falling down. So
and balanced and
yeah, sort of being off balance in general in life. Yeah, so then I had some new work to do, which was healing. And the lucky thing was that, I haven't had any shows that I've, sort of forced my recovery to be too soon and re-injured myself, which is a real risk, I think. So I have been taking my time healing and, using this time when the band is not able to rehearse or perform live shows, and going into an introspective place and sort of reconnecting with, my who is Mother Feather and what is Mother Feather, and thinking about this as an opportunity to reevaluate and reconnect to source, which, I mean, that is what Mother Feather is for me. I mean, Mother Feather is a band, but it's so much more than a band, and it's so much more than me. So that's been a gift, that I've had some of that time, but it's also been challenging. I think, for so many artists, there's just this tremendous amount of pressure to want to use this quote unquote downtime, which I think is, I've been referring to it as downtime, which I think is a very funny joke because I fell down and hurt myself. So yeah, what am I doing in my downtime? And also, Anita, I have spoken to so few people in the past year. So like the gears are really churning, and I'm like, holding the oil can to my brain. So pardon me if I'm stilted. You're also the first person I'm speaking to today. So I'm warming up.
Yeah, the universe sometimes puts us in one place for a reason, and it sounds like there's a lot of assessment going on. You're just looking at what it is you need to be doing, reevaluating, and that's all a good thing, because we all need that from time to time. The lockdowns have forced a lot of people to do that normally wouldn't, and I think the artists, especially the artist community, not just musicians, but artists in general, have really taken a lot of hit. as far as being able to get down to making a livable wage and getting their art exposed to others, I think has been really a big wake-up call for a lot of people. There has to be some alternative ways to do this. Zoom, what we're using right now, is one alternative way where you can still meet people face to face. So there's things to compensate, but I still think that face to face connection is so important. Like you all doing shows. That's the most important thing, is that energy exchange between the band and the audience.
And Mother Feather was really built on our live shows, and we built our audience playing live shows for the first few years before we put out any recordings. And that's so much of the centerpiece of how the band functions. But in this time, it's been a good opportunity for me to go deeper and say, well, what is Mother Feather if I can't play a show? And what is Mother Feather if I can't be in a room with the band? And right. So that's been a good opportunity for sure.
Now you've got a new song called You're a Dead Man.
You're a Dead Man. Yes.
I love it. And you actually took some of the funds that you made from that song and you donated it to a really cool organization that I've never heard of before, but I checked them out online, madre.org.
Yep.
MADRE.org. For anybody listening, you can go right to the website and check it out. So tell us a little bit about where that rage and anger came from with that song, and why you decided to partner up with madre.org.
Well, You're a Dead Man it's a revenge fantasy. It's a song about a girl gang who enact revenge upon a bad man. And I think, last year, as we were, we released the song right before the election, and it felt like the right time to put the song out. I think I wanted to harness women's political rage.
Right.
The song is also a true story about Lizzie and I and some other women teamed up and axed a bad man out of our lives. And so the song is quite literally about that as well. It's much more than just a political thought piece or anything like that. It's just like the empowering place for rage and anger. And so that song is about that. And so we also just wanted to give back to a global women's rights organization. And that's how we paired up with Madre. And we did that. We leaked the song a couple weeks early from the digital streaming platforms and released it on Bandcamp, and then used it to raise some funds for Madre. And that was really exciting. And I also was happy to be able to work on promoting that single while I was laid up on the couch with a giant cast on my legs. So
now
it gave me something to do.
We'll shift gears a little bit and talk about glam rock, which is your genre. And when I see you live, it's really, your music is really like a cross between glam rock and punk and a little bit of rock. It kind of throws it all in there. What were your early influences as far as musicians?
Well, actually, before I tell you about my influences, the thing about it's funny. I don't actually think of Mother Feather as a glam rock band. I know that a lot of people do. I've spoken many times over the years about how, genre, I understand that there's a place for genres, but it seems to me that the people who are most interested in talking about genres are, music marketers, journalists,
Right.
and Spotify, that they love genres on Spotify. But
Right.
as an artist, it's also very frustrating because it can sort of pen you in. And while I appreciate that it's a really good starting place, jumping off point. You want to tell your friend, oh, you got to check out this band there, like this and like this, but like this with a little bit of this. So that's a place to begin. But I'm always very careful about saying, oh, we're glam rocker. For years, I had labeled the band a pop cock rock band, which is an absolutely ridiculous term. And that's part of the reason that I used it, because I think, it sounds a little silly, because I wanted listeners to think, well, cock rock, well, what does it mean if there's women making cock rock? You can't do that, But after a while, I found that I had hemmed myself in with that label as well. The thing that I wanted to use to kind of blow up, the genre, to blow up the fence, around myself, I had ended up fencing myself in with that. And frankly, I just got really tired of talking about cocks all the time. It's very centering of the male experience.
Right.
To say, it's like saying, oh, well, you're a, female cock rocker. It's like saying female doctor. It's like this modifier of like, well, we all expect the cock rock is male. Right. And
Right.
anyway, so I have stopped referring to the band as pop cock rock. And now when people say, oh, what kind of music do you make? I say it's rock, because to me, it just seems like it's just, there's more room in there. So,
Right.
And I do appreciate that Mother Feather is very glammy, and we project as this, glamorous, larger than life band on stage. But I think it's so much more. And also, I guess glam rock to me is very era specific. It's so 70s. And Mother Feather to me sounds incredibly 90s at times, or incredibly contemporary. And I just don't want to set any traps for myself of being like, well, we're this, but we're on this kind of, we were assigned to a metal label, but we made rock music. It just can.
Right. You don't want to be put into a box.
I don't want to be put into a box. I want to make the box explode. And I want to be free. I mean, that's the whole thing about Mother Feather always, is that it is a brazen embrace of freedom. And so I say, to hell with the genres.
Right. That's cool. That's very cool. Now, Charisse and I have been looking at some of that fashion and some of those threads. What do you do to garb yourself before you go on stage? Do you do your thrifting? Do you make your own costumes? Do your own makeup? Is that all created by you?
Well, all of the above. It's a full-time job, outfitting Mother Feather. Also because of financial constraints, time constraints, pure technical constraints of the fact that like I'm not a great seamstress. I can drape, I can pin, right. I can rig something together. But so I'm constantly hunting everywhere, not just, thrift and vintage, but new. We've worked with some really incredible designers over the years. That's been amazing. When that gets to happen, that's spectacular, but it doesn't always get to happen.
I mean, New York City is great for thrifting anyway. I mean, anything that you want, you can pretty much find if you have like a concept in your head. So that's one of the cool things about being in that city.
Actually, where are you? Where are you, Anita? Are you in?
I'm in Tampa. I live in the heart of Tampa.
Oh, and are you downtown?
I'm in Seminole Heights, which is pretty much the trendy kind of neighborhood. Young, upwardly mobile, young couples with kids. It's a lot of, it's very nice. I really I've lived in different places in Tampa, but this is probably one of the best neighborhoods I've been in so far. And we
My,
have that thrifting thing going on here.
yeah,
There's a
my folks
lot
live
of
down
people.
there actually. They
Oh,
live,
really?
yeah, they live in a town called Lithia. It's not in Tampa
Oh, yeah, that's
proper,
not
but
far. Yeah,
yeah, yep,
that's really, really close. Actually, it's more like a bedroom community to the whole metro
yeah.
area. So, so let me ask you this, your early influence as far as music. I mean, when we talk about glam rock, for instance, if I'm just going to bring that up again,
Hmm.
one of the first bands that I saw that was that genre
Hmm.
was Mark Bolan and T-Rex.
Yeah,
And oh my God, I was so in love with Mark Bolan. So
yeah.
he was kind of an early influence, and Billy Preston opened up that concert. So I think I was 15 or something.
Oh, amazing.
And it was, Mark Bolan was also, he had that swagger, but he also had, you didn't know whether he was gay or straight, and he kind of played on that, the
Yeah,
fact that he was effeminate.
yep.
Um, but man, what a band when they were together. And I don't think Americans, as a general rule, the masses here really liked him. They kind
Hmm.
of panned that tour and didn't really like it. And Billy Preston was more of the highlight, but
Interesting.
um, but I don't think glam rock ever came out here as a huge thing unless the big artists were coming through, like Rod Stewart. I saw Rod Stewart about the same time, and of course that was all glammy,
Hmm.
from their hair, from the spike hairdos and the spike shag
Hmm.
to the satin pants to just how they strutted on the stage. It was like a whole, and of course, they changed with the times.
Yeah,
10 years later, they were doing disco.
yep.
So, so, so it was very much a small window where it was really popular.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your influences and how that
Well,
got put together before the band.
sure. Well, it's interesting you bring up Mark Bolan. I mean, Mark Bolan is a huge influence for me. And I was introduced to Mark Bolan fairly late. I was already in college by the time I heard Mark Bolan. And a roommate, was playing some T-Rex. And I was like, what is this? And why did I not know about this? So the thing about Mark Bolan, especially for me, that is so appealing is his joy as a performer. He
Right.
just taps into pure joy and exuberance. And that's something that really lights me up. Apart from, the incredible songs and the incredible guitar playing and his incredible voice, I love to watch him perform, in old footage, because he just looks so happy. He looks so
Yeah.
happy. So
And
yeah, that's really I would say the number one thing is Mark Bolan's joy, and it's so cheeky, and I love that. I love that. But my musical influences are, I think, quite eclectic. My I grew up. My father played the theater pipe organ.
oh,
Um,
wow.
he actually did that at the Tampa Theater actually for a long time. He is retired from that now, but
Oh,
um,
interesting.
yeah, and he's really into old movie music from the 20s and 30s, and pop songs from the 20s and 30s. So
Right.
uh, there was always a lot of that, in he was always playing those songs in the house and listening to lots and lots of old records. So I got a lot of, I guess you could say, sort of vaudeville sounds. And also the Muppet Show was a huge influence for me growing up. I grew up overseas, also in South Asia. My parents worked for the State Department, and I moved around every 3-4 years. So the context of the countries that I was in, and that always influenced the sounds that I was receiving. I went through puberty in Pakistan. And this was, right when Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan was like at the height of
Right.
his Western popularity. And I graduated high school in the Philippines. And, there in the Philippines, they would import all this Western pop music there. They would kind of like do a test run on
Right.
Filipino audiences. So like, I remember we heard of all the boy bands, 6 months before they came stateside and stuff like that. They were massively popular in Manila before anyone had even heard of them over here in the States. So let's see, I had a brother who was, also introduced me to some classic rock stuff, Jimi Hendrix. I got through him. And let's see, also when I was school, like, middle school, early high school in Pakistan, there wasn't a lot of, we didn't have the internet didn't exist yet.
Right.
And so a lot of the, Western bands that we were listening to, someone would like buy a bunch of CDs on a, trip home to the States and then, share them with their friends. Everyone would record a copy, burn a copy to cassette tape. So like a lot of this 90s 4AD records, that was like the hottest, His Name Is Alive and, the Breeders, obviously Pixies, that
Right.
stuff we were just like obsessing over. So yeah, there's really a big of things that I was listening to and being exposed to, both from my overseas background, but also being very hungry for Western culture and kind of devouring it and savoring it, and poring over magazines and stuff like that.
Just to have a connection. I mean, I was stationed overseas for a time, but it's so important when you're there as an American to have those cords that tie you to your own culture, supposedly. And like you said, you missed it. And yeah, it's really cool to be kind of plucked up and put down into a different culture, but you want to maintain that connection to what's familiar to you. And I remember when, for instance, the music would come over, it was the same thing on an Air Force base where,
yes, yeah,
there were songs that were played on AFRS before they were getting radio airplay in the States. So because they were kind of test driving those songs as far as the amount of listeners they were getting. So we're kind of getting close to the end, but I wanted to just ask a few more questions.
Sure.
The one I have that I think is probably important as we go forward, within the music business and industry, is what's going to happen with tours, and festivals, because Charisse, our editor here at Rocket Night, she first saw you at the Vans Warped Tour, I believe, in 2016. And of course, that's gone away now. But there's plenty of other festivals, and it seems like they're scheduling them, and then they're canceling them, and then they're scheduling them, and they're canceling them, or they're moving them out. And it doesn't look like there's any kind of mainstay of festivals happening in the future. And then they're talking about vaccine passports, which might change everything. Right. So what do you think about all that?
Well, I'm in the wait and see mode. I mean, I certainly would love for festivals to resume safely. I certainly would love small rock club shows to resume safely. And I think we need to support small independent venues, especially. I'm waiting patiently, and I don't know. I can't predict the future. I mean, the most important thing is that people are safe at the shows. And I sure hope that there will be a day when I can shower my audience in saliva again soon. But it's probably going to be a little while. So how can I make the most of my time in the meantime. That's how I'm kind of focusing my energy now, rather than speculating as to the future. I'm more of like a let's take it one day at a time, lest I get horribly overwhelmed. Yeah.
And the thing that I think we just hope for the best, and the live streams are great, but they don't provide that face-to-face, as we said before, a face-to-face connection between the band and the audience and exchanging that energy back and forth. I love the live streams for different bands to hear their new material, and they're good for that, but they're not good for that connection. So
yeah, and so much of what I value about Mother Feather is that connection. So I want to, right now I'm really focused on that connection through the writing, because that is how, it's a long process. That's the other thing too, is like from writing the songs to then, which I do mostly solo, before I get the song to, a place where I feel like, okay, I'm ready to share this with the band. But there's like it comes from a really, really private place. Traditionally, Mother Feather songs have for me. So I'm really just trying to go into that super private place right now and see this as an opportunity to be in that space. But I am also thinking that it will not be very long before the band and I can get together again soon. I'm actually thinking like, within a few weeks even. I think most of us will be vaccinated.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm
great.
excited to like get into the room with the gang and work on some new stuff and see where it takes us. And so yeah, it's kind of sort of a special and unique time right now.
Tell our listeners where they can find you online, and maybe just a little bit about not just getting together, but future plans for the music, an album, an EP coming up, or just give us a rundown on that.
Well, you can find us online at motherfeather.com. You can, send me a message on Instagram. It's me who is, going to reply. And that's been a social media, as sometimes toxic as it can be and has felt for me personally, just in the past year. One thing that I always check for and am available for is conversations with fans, listeners. I love it. It's like one of my favorite things, and it has been kind of a centering and grounding thing to be able to like talk to fans and just still be in some kind of communion with, our Mother Feathers, who have the same, or we call our fans the same thing that we call the band, although MFers, which is our idea of a pretty funny joke, but also, not a coincidence, because the fans are a reflection of the band. And so that's why we have the same name.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Ann, for joining us. And you really, I encourage everybody to go out and check out her videos on YouTube, the band's videos. It really is rock, and it's really along the lines of performance too. It's so cool to see this band perform their songs. So
thank you, Anita. Yeah, you can find most of our videos are on the Metal Blade YouTube channel. Metal Blade put out our first couple albums, so most of our videos are there. But we also have our own YouTube channel, and we'd love for you to subscribe. And actually, we have a super sick video for our newest track, "You're a Dead Man." That is a fully animated video that I'm so excited about, and that was one of the big projects keeping me busy when I was, laid up on the couch last September. Right. So an incredible animator named Liz Keene made that video, and I would love for y'all to watch it.
Yeah, and hit the check mark. You know,
Yeah.
hit that check mark too. All right. Well, Ann, you have a great day,
You
and
too.
we will be following you along the way to see when the new stuff comes out. We're
Thank you
kind
for
of
your support, and I'm really
yeah.
happy for the opportunity to be able to talk to you at what's like a pretty a cool time because you know I'm not in heavy promotion mode, so I think it's special, you know, because you're catching me at like a an introspective, creative moment. So thank you for
Right.
the opportunity.
Okay, you have a good one, and we will see you on the airwaves
All
somewhere.
right, rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Bye.
Bye bye.
You're listening to Rock at Night.
The introductory song, Get On Down, is from blues artist Billy Bass Alford. Look for his music at ReverbNation.com.